helping them out, and we're having a great time. And I just felt like I wouldn't have my heart into going back to Dream Theater in January without having some sort of break. The way it is now with Avenged, I guess we'll just ride this out together, because they're a band without a drummer, and now I'm a drummer without a band, and we haven't made any decisions or haven't even discussed where we go from here. It's just, for now, I will continue playing with them, and we'll see where we go from there.
Because playing devil's advocate here, the first thing that I thought when I heard about this, and one of our other brothers in our friendship here, Jericho, texted me the news first. And, the first thing I thought about, and I'm sure a lot of fans did, was, well, the other guys in DT probably said, well, he's playing with all these other bands, but when we need to work, he doesn't have time for us, so that's that. But you're saying that really wasn't it.
I don't know. Maybe they do feel that way.
Kind of like, your girlfriend's off doing other stuff, and then when you need her, she's not available, that sort of thing.
I cannot ever be accused of not having my heart into Dream Theater. I've literally spent 25 years, it's my baby.
Well, that actually ties into what you're saying, because you're actually saying you couldn't do it right now, and the reason why you couldn't is because your heart isn't 110% into it. You needed it to be refreshed.
Absolutely.
So that's so important to you that you actually chose to walk away than to do it half-ass.
I almost felt like I had to sacrifice myself from the situation, so I wouldn't be holding them back, and I wouldn't be, doing something against my will. And it's incredible for me to think that they're carrying on without me, but I guess it's I used to joke with them all the time. I used to say, if I ever die, don't say he would have wanted us to carry on, because I used to say, I wouldn't want you to carry on without me. The last thing I ever wanted to see was a Dream Theater without Mike Portnoy in it. So I used to always joke with them about that. But now here, when faced with this reality, sure, the selfish side of me doesn't want to think of that band without me, and I kind of wish we would have just taken a break. But then there's the side of me that I can't hold them back. They're my friends, and they're my brothers. If they really want to continue, then I can't say no. I don't want to be an a-hole and do that to them. So it's a strange situation, and luckily it's ended on good terms, and those guys have made it blatantly clear that the door is always open for me. So it's a weird thing, because I would go back to them in a heartbeat, just not now. I just need a break.
How much time, Mike, did you want away from the band? I know they wanted to work, as you said, starting pretty much in the first of the year, but how much time did you feel you needed that you told them? I forgot what you said. Was it a year, 2 years? How much time did you want away?
When I proposed it, I proposed an indefinite hiatus, as so many bands go on, and have always, and all of whom have come back bigger and better than ever. But that didn't go over. So then, after talking about it, I said, well, then how about let's just say a year, year and a half. Why don't we just take off 2011 and reconvene in 2012, and you guys, John Petrucci could do a solo album. He was been talking about that for the longest time. And James just did a solo album, and John Myung just did a Jelly Jam album, and Jordan's got plans. It made sense. It's like, let's just take off 2011. Everybody could do their own thing, and reconvene in 2012. And that didn't go over either. They didn't want to do that either. And I even offered to do various work with them in 2011. Even though that wasn't what I wanted, I was willing to do it just to, keep the band afloat, and it just didn't fly. It's just unfortunate that's the way that the chips fell.
And you bring up a good point when you mention the other projects from the other guys, because I've joked with you for years about the different bands and how many bands you play. And you're a guy that just loves to play all styles of music. I'll never forget people that are listening. Years ago at my Halloween party, Overkill's drummer couldn't get in, and on the drop of the dime, you came up and did a set with Overkill for me. So that's always the type of guy you are. But you bring up a good point. The other guys in your band, while maybe not as active outside of the group as you are, they all have other things that they do and can do as well. So it's not like you were the only guy doing some I guess, moonlighting,
No.
So you don't know. I mean, look, the vibe I get from this as a fan, I can't see this lasting, even if it's an album, a tour. I just, there are very few drummers, and I'm not saying this just because you're a friend, but in all honesty, I mean, there are very, very few drummers, let's face it, who are irreplaceable, who are key members to their bands. Right. Most, as much as I love drumming and you and everything, the reality is most bands, if they have to change out the drummer, they don't skip a beat, and it doesn't cost them a ticket, and it's not a big deal. Clearly, that is so not the case with you and your role in Dream Theater.
The two situations I could think of that are similar is Tommy Lee with Motley Crue and maybe Phil Collins with Genesis. And in both of those cases, they both left. And in both of those cases, they came back. So, you know what? I mean, maybe that would be the case here. I don't know. But to be honest with you, Eddie, I mean, to me, the thing that is so weird about this is that my role in Dream Theater just went so beyond the drumming. Honestly, I think there's thousands of drummers that could walk into Dream Theater right now and do a great job drumming-wise. But what about the other 1,000 things that I had to do in Dream Theater.
Right, well, that's what I mean. I mean, from writing to singing to the set list to, you steered the ship in a lot of ways.
I mean, these guys are going to, I think they'll have no problem getting a great drummer. There's lots of great drummers out there, but I think they're going to have to really step up to the plate to cover all of the other responsibilities. They're going to each have to put in 500% more to cover that ground. And I guess they're up to it. I've already seen, John Petrucci doing Q&As on his website, which in all these years I've never seen him do. So I guess they're each going to step up to the plate and cover that ground that I used to cover. And, I never in a million years thought I would ever see a Dream Theater concert, and I'm looking forward to one day doing it.
And I can't also help but to think of a parallel a little bit here to the situation that's floated around with Aerosmith for the last year or two, where Steven Tyler he wants some downtime from Aerosmith. Right. He wants a break. He wants a recharge. He wants to do other things. And every time he says that, the other four guys say, well, we'll find a new singer. And I would think that the prospects of an Aerosmith without Tyler, to me, seem as crazy as a Dream Theater without Mike Portnoy. And again, I'm not blowing smoke, but yeah, there's all those intangibles and the role you play in that band. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and how this all unfolds. But if I'm a betting man, I have to sit here and say that it won't be more than a year or two before you return to that gig under some circumstance. Well,
I mean, you know what? If that was to happen, then I got what I wanted. I got my break from them, and they got what they wanted. They got to continue on, and then, maybe a couple of years from now we can get back together and live happily ever after. I don't know. But there's been so many cases, you've seen it. History has shown, and I already cited Motley Crue and Genesis, but you could talk about, Aerosmith went on without Joe Perry, and Maiden went on without Bruce, and Priest without Halford, and most of those together, and I would love if someday that happens with us.
Right, but most of those scenarios, Mike, as you know, being the music fan that you are, were for the most part very unsuccessful.
Well, I don't wish that upon Dream Theater.
No, I'm not saying you do. I'm just talking about all those instances you mentioned. For the most part, were not successful, and the other member had to come back eventually.
Right. Well, I don't know. The whole thing has